I think you should always be learning, otherwise you're not growing. And then I would say I have like a solid couple hours at the end of the day that's just organizing paperwork and stuff like that so that I can kind of wrap up my evening. Because I feel like it's after all the crazy things that come up throughout the day, that's like the main thing. In real estate, you have a plan and then everything else comes up that you didn't expect for the day. Every time I try to take a day off, that's like how it is. And if you don't have the little system blocks in place, your whole day gets taken away from you. And all of a sudden it's 7 o'clock at night and you didn't accomplish like anything.
Welcome to Momentum in Real Estate, your guide to success in the dynamic world of real estate. I'm Cory Wolf.
And I'm Kristin James. Whether you're just starting out or a seasoned pro, we're here to help you reach new heights.
Success in real estate comes from learning, growing, and serving others.
Join us as we dive into strategies for lead generation, marketing, market trends, and client relationships.
Get ready to ignite your momentum and achieve your goals in real estate.
Let's dive in and unlock your full potential.
This is Momentum in Real Estate.
Awesome. Well, today's guest is Madison Ward, a savvy real estate professional whose journey began at her family's brokerage and quickly grew into a full-fledged passion. With a business and finance degree from Cal Poly and experience across the Central Coast, Madison blends sharp strategy with hands-on know-how. She specializes in luxury and investment real estate and is known for her fierce negotiation skills. Madison brings energy, precision, and a deep love for her Sierra community to every transaction. Welcome to the podcast, Madison.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
So, Madison, tell us your real estate story in your own words.
As you mentioned in the opening, I come from a pretty extensive real estate background in terms of my family, like multiple generations of real estate professionals. My great grandfather was like a commercial and agricultural real estate professional. My parents are both real estate brokers, and they actually started their company when they were in their 20s. And I always just grew up around real estate, and I never thought that I would do it. I was like, these guys are crazy, the hours and everything. I don't know who would subject themselves to this kind of lifestyle. And they're both just total power people, like the kind of people where you're like, how are you even human? And so I kind of was like, I'm going to go a different route. I have a degree in finance, and I was like, just as a backup, when I was 18, I'll get my real estate license. And 2 weeks into the game, I sold a property, and I was like, I'm not going to college. Like, this is where I need to be. And my parents were like, no, you're going to go to college. And so I went, got a degree, and then I got back into real estate after college and worked on the Central Coast for a few years and ultimately moved back because most of my family's up here. And I just love it. I can't imagine doing anything else.
That's amazing. And we've had, I think, maybe one or two other guests that come from a family of realtors. And it's so interesting because it's not our experience, but it's just like you breathe like a different air and it somehow like gets in your bloodstream in a different way. And so it's just fascinating. So how long have you had your license? How long have you been practicing?
I've been practicing real estate for, it's been about 12 years now. I've been a broker. I got my broker's license when I was 25, I think, maybe 26. And started when I was 18. I sold a little bit through college. I'd come home for summers and then wrap things up when I was going back to school. And I'm a sister team. So my sister Mallory, we're a dynamic duo, as I like to say. And she's been doing it now for about 10 years. And so between the two of us, about 20, 22 years of experience. And so
That's
it's been
That's
a minute.
awesome. I was going to say you must have started when you were like 12 because you look so young. That's
Yeah, I'm waiting
amazing.
for my gray hair to come in so that people keep stop asking me on a listing appointment if this is my first transaction.
Exactly. Is this your first transaction?
I
Oh,
love
man.
that. Can you tell us a little bit about your business? Like, how many deals do you do a year? Like, what's your average? Where does your sphere, like, or where does your business come from? Is it sphere or referrals?
Mallory and I as a team, we do about it ranges maybe 38 to like maybe 50 depending on the year in terms of transactions. I think we're wrapping up the current year with about 20 plus million in volume, which I think our average sales price up here is about 450. And so definitely high transaction volumes up here in order to get a certain volume. But I would say most of my business is I think you should diversify your channels. And so you really, in order to be successful in this business, you have to have an egg in every single basket. And so open houses, I think, are phenomenal for meeting potential listing clients. We do a lot of online marketing, especially we're a second home market. So most of our clients are coming from hours away. I do a ton of floor time. I think we're one of the few offices that still get actual walk-ins and call-ins. I've heard from other people that doesn't quite happen maybe in full-time markets. And the other one is definitely past clients, referrals from other agents, big referral network outside of our area. And I really think that mail campaigns, everything. The only thing I'm actually not that leveraged in is social media, oddly enough.
Interesting.
Yep.
Given your youth, like that's an interesting aspect. I'd love to piggyback on just what we were talking about a little bit more because there's this tension I think between diversifying and making sure that you have like enough pillars to grow your business, but yet not spreading yourself so thin that you're not good at any of them. So how have you approached that? Like, is that something you and your sister sort of tackle together as a business? And she's really good at like the open house pillar and you're really good at the mailers, or like how have you sort of brought that together to build your business in a sustainable way?
A lot of it is, I think having a teammate, someone that you work really well with, is just worth its weight in gold because you each have different strengths. I have stuff I don't like doing, and Mallory has stuff that she definitely doesn't like doing. And so we've really honed in on what are her strengths, what are my strengths. I tend to focus more on the listing side of things. She focuses more on the buyer side of things. The other thing too, and I can't, stress it enough, is having systems in place that are set and forget. I benefit a lot from our company has a lot of systems, and even on like the local side, we've got an operations admin that she just makes life just so easy because all the systems are in place. And so when you're running around scattered and losing your mind, you don't have to focus on, oh my gosh, are my just solds or my just listeds getting sent out? They're already sent out. You're already working that new channel of business and it's like set and forget. So I think that's a big part of it because if you were doing it all yourself, you would definitely be stretched too thin. And we all know when you're stretched too thin, you don't do anything well.
What are some of your favorite systems that you use? I mean, I can vouch that is something I'm really working on in 2026. I've got systems and sometimes I surprise myself, but I like the set it and forget it thing. So like what kinds of systems can you share that are like working the best for you?
I would say one of my biggest to start, I'd say one of my biggest systems, and this might not count as a system, but staying organized in your calendar, like even in terms of having your workouts in your calendar and having, your monthly mailer scheduled. Okay, every month on the 14th, I send out this mailer to my database. And then from an office standpoint, I'd say the system of when you get a new listing, we organize everything onto a new listing form so that we've got all of the details in front of us. Our office admin has all the details, and then she can kind of take that and run with it and send out just solds and order signage and all that good stuff. And then you're not really focused on that. You're focused more on building your personal relationships and getting new business and negotiating. And then the other thing that I would say in terms of important systems is we have a back end marketing team that they do everything for you, from even from managing your CRM. And so you don't even have to do that portion in terms of sending out mailers. So if you're going to start a mailing campaign, every month you send out a mailer, so it's consistent, because the consistency is how you gain business long term. And so having other people that can do that so that you don't have to think about it is just worth its weight in gold.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, it's something Cory and I are really, we spend a lot of time thinking about and building systems that are going to help, like you said, build that consistency over the long haul. We're both solo agents, and so, we're not like part of a big team, and we have a lot of support and resources in our organization and in our community, but as far as like our work with clients, we're pretty much like a solo shop with maybe some admin help. So I'm curious, markets are markets and they're going to do what they do, and I'm guessing like yours has kind of been up and down, and you have your good seasons and you have your tough seasons. Tell us about a tough market that you've experienced just in your tenure, and kind of what you learned from that. How did you stay grounded during that?
So I would say I've really only experienced in my lifetime as a real estate agent. I know there've been a lot of really challenging markets, but part of it was seeing my parents go through, multiple recessions and seeing like a really challenging market. And since I got my license back in 2014, the market's been really, I mean, it's been a very balanced market for the most part. As we were coming out of the Great Recession, it was definitely, it was a challenging market in terms of a lot of inventory, not so many buyers, prices were going really low. And then I would say the COVID market was not fun because there were no houses on the market and there were like 25 buyers. But I mean, when you did get an offer accepted, it was a great market. And then currently we're in a totally balanced market. Our inventory is like still low, but there's the perfect amount of inventory to support the buyer demand right now. And so we're like in a total equilibrium. And so I would say my biggest challenge hasn't really been the market, navigating like a difficult market. I would say it's more been breaking into a market. Specifically when I was on the Central Coast, I mean, I was 24/7 just eat, slept, sleeping, breathing real estate, like everything to do with real estate. And it was an incredibly challenging market. I think I sold like 4 things in 2 years, and that was like doing everything. And that was actually a healthy, strong market. It was just challenging to break into.
Wow. Well, that's awesome. Good to hear that, you are dealing with that right now. Because I know for us in our market, it's definitely a buyer's market. And then on top of that, with Hurricane Helene, like we were talking about before we started recording, the buyers have not been coming to the area as much. I think this new year is going to change a little bit. So it's been very challenging, but fun to navigate, because I feel like no matter what the market is, people are going to have to, what are the 5 Ds, right? Like people are going to have to buy or sell.
Totally.
So again, like leaning back on those systems. Something I know that a lot of realtors or deal with is scheduling. Like you said, like calendars are the most important thing that you can really lean on. Um, Tell us about your calendar and what it looks like on a regular week basis.
I would say so. My calendar is definitely, I'm a full-time agent, but I'm also the managing broker for this section of offices that we have up here. And so my calendar is definitely split between agent activities and then broker activities. And so a regular day, I would say I like to get up and go through I do what everyone says you're not supposed to do in the morning. I get up and I check my email while I'm having my coffee. And so check my email, then I, without fail, go do some sort of workout, whether it's running or yoga, clear out my brain and think about anything that needs, attention right away, or maybe a difficult conversation or something like that. Then I come back, I check my email again, fire everything off, and then I like to go to either one or both offices. We have two up here, and go check in with our agents, go to the other office, check in with the agents that are up there, and then basically, depending on what day of the week, it could be, if it's a weekend, there's always an open house. I feel like, especially if you're in a second home market, you should at least be doing two open houses a weekend, if not more. I mean, if you can stack a few, that would be like ideal. And then it's possible I'm showing property. I do a lot of webinars and things to see if I can learn any additional tidbits. I think you should always be learning, otherwise you're not growing. And then I would say I have like a solid couple hours at the end of the day that's just organizing paperwork and stuff like that, so that I can kind of wrap up my evening. Because I feel like it's, after all the crazy things that come up throughout the day, that's like the main thing. In real estate, you have a plan, and then everything else comes up that you didn't expect for the day. Every time I try to take a day off, that's like how it is. And if you don't have the little system blocks in place, your whole day gets taken away from you. And all of a sudden it's 7 o'clock at night and you didn't accomplish like anything. And then you're stressed out for the day tomorrow, and then you're behind. And I think staying on top of your schedule, whatever that is for you, whether it's like open houses, showing property, visiting with your agents, if you have that schedule in place, the likelihood that you're going to be able to accomplish everything and also have time to regain your sanity at the end of the day is much higher.
So good. I'd love to just piggyback on that real quickly in terms of, I feel like you were kind of talking about like habits, whether it's time blocking or, dedicated time that you've set for various activities. Tell us, like, in terms of, as you think about the professionalism of our industry, that's something Cory and I are really passionate about, in terms of like just raising the level of professionalism in the market, so that consumers actually like recognize the value that real estate agents offer. What are some habits that you have seen or observed, maybe in your market? I don't know if they're consistent across the board, but what are some habits that you've seen that you feel like hurt kind of the professionalism of our industry?
Our biggest, there's a few, but I feel like the biggest one in our market, not speaking to other markets, I hope this isn't a thing in other markets, not using professional photography. That is like a big thing that I've seen agents do up here. And I feel like it makes us look bad like a business, because we're marketing professionals, we're marketing consultants. I think people think of us as salespeople, but really at the end of the day, like, we are marketing professionals and real estate consultants. And professional photography is like step one. People go into, I can't tell you how many times I've seen an agent in the mirror taking an iPhone photo and of the bathroom or whatever. And that's got to stop. I mean, in terms of our industry, I feel like, is under fire all the time, and we're constantly having to defend ourselves. And then you see somebody post a listing on Zillow and it's got iPhone photos, and it's like, how do you, that's one of them. And then I would say the other one is agents being really adversarial with other agents. I think that is like the number one pet peeve in terms of transactions and dealing with the other side. I can't tell you how many times I've like shown property and I'm like, oh no, they're going to offer on this one. And you just know it's going to be like an uphill battle. I think that is like, there's no need to be adversarial in a real estate transaction. We are really the liaisons between the two parties, and it's our job to kind of mute the outside and bring it together. And you've got a lot of emotion on either side of the fence, and it shouldn't be adversarial. So that's definitely one that's got to go. But those are my top two.
Beautifully said. Yes. I was actually recently in a transaction where I kept all the drama that was happening behind the scenes, like away from my clients. And then the lawyer actually knew what was going on because I had to get her into it. And she said something at the closing table, and I was like, no. It's like, dang
Oh,
it. You just try to
that
keep
is
things.
the worst. That actually happened. That happened on an escrow that I had, that it was horrible. Like, the seller's agent was telling me how furious they were about all the different asks and everything. And I just, with the buyer, was like, no, I'm not going to ruin this house for them. And I just kept it all, all that kind of angry, angsty stuff, like, to the side. And then the seller's agent came to the final walkthrough to drop keys off. And she was like, oh my gosh, that was so nasty. And, they hate the buyer and like all this stuff. And I was like, why? We made it all the way to the finish line. And now you're telling us this horrible negative thing. And now the buyers feel really bad about the house. It's like,
Yep.
there's just no, keep it.
We
Please,
are
for
we
the
are
love.
right there with you. Oh my goodness. Yeah, we do all this work to like just keep the drama to a minimum, stay focused on the task, get to the finish line, and then all it takes is one person to like, you know, make it go sideways.
So true. So, Madison, as we wrap up here, like, tell us some parting words. Let's just say on the other side of someone listening right now, they're really struggling and this market's really tough for them. Like, what's some words of wisdom that you have for them?
I would say words of wisdom for anybody that's out there struggling is, you should really know it takes about 6 years to get momentum in this industry. And it's the long game. If you can just keep going, even if you need to get like a part-time job to support yourself so you can keep doing your real estate career, that's what is the difference. Is like, a lot of people that are in the industry long term, some people are successful right out the gate, but the majority, their success was their ability to stay in there and their ability to be consistent. And I think one of the biggest things you could do, especially as, a newer agent to the business, is be really consistent and take advantage of your wins. If you sell a property, send out 200 just solds. Use as much of what you are doing to promote yourself as possible. I would say, if you're doing an open house, ideally custom signs. If you don't get anyone at your open house, at least they all see your signage outside and they're like, oh, there's Madison. She's doing another open house. And then the other thing that I would say is, the sooner that you realize in this industry that life is not fair, the easier it's going to be for you, because it is. I think it was Buffini actually that said real estate is the most fair career in the world, because at the end of the day, it's not fair. And you could do all this work and have it all pulled out from underneath you, or you could show one house and sell it that day. It's just, there's no rhyme or reason for why it happens. And I think that one of the reasons that people get out of the industry is they get disheartened. And if you can realize that and stick with it for 5 or 6 years, I think you'll be successful. And my last little tidbit for people is, don't sell somebody on a house or a property. Just be transparent with them. Whatever you know about the area and the functional obsolescence or repairs that need to be done, be transparent with them, because that's going to take you a lot further than trying to sell them something that they don't want to buy.
So well said, Madison. No one likes to be sold, right? Like,
No.
well, you are a gift, Madison, and this has been a really rich conversation. And I feel like we've learned some things and have just really enjoyed our time together. So thank you.
Likewise. Thank you for having me on.
Have a great day, Madison.
Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Momentum in Real Estate. We hope you found valuable insights and strategies to propel your real estate journey forward.
If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe to our podcast and leave us a review. Your feedback helps us continue to deliver content that resonates with you. Remember, success in real estate is about continuous learning, growth, and serving others. Keep that momentum going and watch your business thrive.
Until next time, keep pushing forward and bringing your real estate dreams to life.
This is Cory Wall
And Kristin James signing off from Momentum in Real Estate.